Hi, I'm Coach Amber, and welcome to the Meet RX Success Story podcast. And today we have Ginamarie with us. Welcome, Ginamarie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited to hear your story. So tell us, what was going on in your life prior to starting Carnivore? Were you having any health issues or had things that you wanted to address? And what was the reasoning you went Carnivore?
Yeah, so I have a big health issue. I have MS. I was diagnosed when I was 24, so 10 years ago. And I think it's been relatively aggressive compared to other people that I know that have MS. So a couple of years ago, I was at a point where the disease had progressed so much that I couldn't walk without a cane. I was really just unstable. So there was no riding my bike there. I threw away all my high heels and I called out sick for the morning at work because it was so emotional to throw away all these shoes. And I threw them away because I couldn't wear them anymore. And it was it was a big turning point for me, where I really started believing and accepting that my disease was progressing and there was nothing that I could do about it. And so, I wasn't able to walk unassisted. Starting to have bladder control issues. I was starting to heal more slowly, just systemically, like everything was changing. My neurologist ordered me to keep a journal of all of my cuts and bruises and to do full body checks every week to track how long things were taking to heal and make sure that nothing was turning into a big infection or anything. And then just like general aches and pains all day long, pain from MS, but then also additional pain from fatigue. And that was kind of every day. Nothing was really remitting anymore. And then my energy was really, really low. Like if I wanted to do an activity, I would know that would be all that I was doing that day. And I would probably have to take a nap or I would have to plan the next day to do nothing. After like working in the office about 2:30 in the afternoon, I would go home to finish working because I couldn't sit anymore. Like the gravity was too much to just keep sitting. So I would like go work from bed for the rest of the day, go pick up my daughter from daycare or school, come home, sit down on the couch, and then basically use all the rest of my energy to get up for dinner. And, you know, in your early 30s to have a life like that, it's like, well, this is great. I'm, on the downhill. And I really believed that by now I would be in a wheelchair. And I was even, I even had my doctor was prescribing Ritalin to give me enough energy to get through the day so that I could have family activities. So I wasn't cleaning, I wasn't cooking, I wasn't playing with my daughter, I wasn't doing anything. And the big wake up moment for me was when my daughter said to me, I can't wait. She's like 4 at this point. I can't wait until I have a baby so that I can sit on the couch and watch them play too. And I think that was probably the thing for me, that it was like, yeah, I have to do something different. And I never believed that diet would change a disease like that, change the course of a disease like that. And I felt like at that point in time that food was the only thing that I had left to enjoy. So I kind of protected it. And I didn't want to change my diet. And my husband kept telling me please, please, please do this. He just wanted me to try keto or paleo, just clean it up. Enough with the potato chips, enough with the cake and everything else. Just try eating whole foods. So I did that. He talked me into doing 30 days. 30 days turned into 90 days, turned into a year. And then I ended up going the longest that I've ever been without a relapse, which was 1.5 years. And that was doing a keto, paleo, wall sort of protocol, flexing between those. normally I had been having 2 to 3 relapses per year that broke through disease-modifying therapy. So 1.5 years is the longest that I've ever been. And when I relapsed, I had gone back to a standard American diet for like 4 weeks. And it was kind of like 3.5 weeks into eating whatever I wanted again. Like I went on vacation, just couldn't get off the sugar and carbs after that. And I felt kind of everything dialing back, like all of the progress that I had made in my quality of life, different MS pains and things like that started coming back when they had really, like, since I had been keto paleo, it had really improved dramatically. Looking at where I am today with carnivore, I would say that where I was on keto paleo is probably 70% of the quality of life that I have today. Like I could never have dreamed that I would feel as good as I do today. So it was 4 weeks of being back on a standard American diet, had my first relapse. It was just waiting to get me, first relapse in 1.5 years. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I saw how much eating cleaner improved my life, how much it changed in those 4 weeks when I went back to a standard diet. Well, what if we try to eliminate even more? We just, like, I was already eliminating lectins and phytates. What happens if we eliminate oxalates too? Let's get after it. And at first I thought it was crazy. So my husband had been telling me, like, you should just try carnivore, give it a try. And I'm like, you can't do that. You're going to be nutrient deficient. What are you doing? And it took a while for him to be like, hey, look, here's all of, this science and this data and this on what you're actually going to get out of it and how it's going to work. And then I was finally like, all right, let's give it a try. So I had originally intended for it to just be an elimination. Let me get rid of all of these fruits and vegetables and eventually add things back in and see what I can tolerate. And it turns out that I can't tolerate much. So I just stick with meat and pickles. I do okay with fermented vegetables, it seems like, depending on what the fruit or vegetable is. But I feel like if I didn't allow myself to have pickles or a potato chip every now and then, I wouldn't stick with it. And I don't beat myself up because I ate a pickle. Really, it's like, okay, 99% of my calorie intake is still from meat. Like, I'm still eating meat, or everything had a mom. So still doing good. So I don't beat myself up for things like that. And I'll taste something, I'll try something every now and then when it's in season. Like, can I have this strawberry? Nope. Can I have this watermelon? Yeah, but only if it's a little bit, but for the most part, 98, 99% of my calories are coming from animal products. And I never would have imagined that I would feel as good as I do today.
That's awesome. That's already so amazing. I can't wait to hear like the specifics. But before we get to that, can you give us more of an idea of how you implemented the diet? You mentioned a little bit about what you eat, but go into more detail. Like, what does a typical day look like for you? And like, how many times a day do you eat? About how much meat do you eat? People are very curious about those kind of things. And also, did you have any transition issues, like digestive issues?
Sure. So looking back on it, when I was recovering from that relapse, I craved the salty fat in a ribeye. And that was all I wanted every day, but I wanted it on a bed of arugula with oil and vinegar. And so I did that. I had like steak salad with some arugula in it every day coming out of my relapse. And then eventually I didn't want the arugula anymore. And I at first, I didn't feel good for a couple of weeks. I think part of it was getting fat adapted again after having spent 4 weeks on a standard American diet again. So I think part of it was getting fat adapted. The other part was that I just wasn't eating enough. I wasn't consuming enough calories, enough fat, enough anything. So I do have some dairy every now and then just to try to get more calories and try to get more fat because I'm just not a big eater. And that's probably like the biggest thing that I have to actively focus on when I'm eating this way is to make sure that I'm eating a whole steak, that I'm not just like stopping before because I feel like I'm done eating. And it's not really like, for me, it's not like I'm satisfied or I'm not satisfied. It's just, I just mentally just stop eating. So that's a weird thing that I have had to overcome. So the first couple weeks I was really tired, but after I figured out that I just wasn't eating enough, I upped my electrolytes, I upped my fat big time, and my protein, just started eating bigger portions and being more aware of why I was stopping eating. Was I actually physically done, or was I just like mentally moving on to something else now? So that was the big thing for me. I did have some digestive issues when my colon was transitioning, getting adapted to not having fiber. But it was like a day of being near the toilet. Not too far. Don't go for any long drives. I know that some people have, more than that, but for me, it was like a day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Other than that, it's been really great. It's like less poop, easier poop, less frequently. Like, I mean, that's the best, in my opinion. Less
I have to agree with you there. For sure. Okay, so now the good part. Let's talk about this. I want to know, how has your life improved? Obviously, a lot by what you said earlier, but give us the details. I want to know. We all want to know.
So I switched to Carnivore November of 2019. So coming up on my 1-year carniversary in about a month and a half here. And this entire year, and I pinch myself every day, I have not had any MS symptoms. Like, I don't have tingly feelings. I don't have pain. It doesn't feel like my face is burning. I don't have the extra pain from fatigue because I don't have fatigue. And it's to the point to where my husband let me talk him into getting a second puppy. But really, that's just a testament that he believes that the energy that I have is here and here to stay, because it's not all on his shoulders to take care of everything like it was before. So for me, it's like I have these weeks where I can't believe everything that I've done, because mentally I haven't been able to do so many things that I limit myself before I get a chance to do something. So there's this whole mental shift that's happening where, I'll have these weeks where, like, I'm cleaning up after the dogs, I'm doing dishes and laundry and cooking and helping our second grader with homework and driving her to and from gymnastics and to and from the vet because the puppies are always eating something or whatever it is, And I get to the end of the week and I've done all these things where, I've barely sat down during the day. And I did it all without extra pain from fatigue. I did it all without fatigue. I did it all without having a crash day, a rest day, a nap, basically like no consequences anymore to just having a life. And it's still like this big mental hurdle when someone invites us to do something, socially distanced, of course, where, you know, hey, well, we're going to go paddleboard out on the lake. You want to go paddleboard with us? Like, first of all, I can paddleboard, and I never thought I'd be able to do that. Like, to have the balance, the strength, everything to be able to do that. And to have this mental moment where the first thing that I feel is guilt, because I still think that I have to make an excuse to get out of something. And I don't have to do that anymore. Or I don't have to plan like paddleboarding is the only thing I'm going to do for the day. No, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to have my cake and eat it too, but not a cake. So, yeah, like this year, I used to think, you know, people would say, oh, you know, if you exercised, it gives you more energy, it gets your body in a better place, it really helps you with MS, this and that. And I would think, do you know what kind of a luxury it is to have the additional energy to spend on exercise so that I can get more energy? I don't have that. That's not my reality. And so this year I have been able to start with a personal trainer who, lucky for me, is carnivore friendly. So, and he lives right by me. So he's been helping me build muscle. So being able to, first of all, spend energy on exercise. I went high heel shopping this year. It was a big deal. I bought new high heels, and I bought like the sparkliest, most ridiculous heels you've ever seen, because it's a celebration, right? So I got new high heels. I got a personal trainer because I have the energy to spend on exercise now. My body is totally changing. I'm building muscle. I've never had muscle like this. Even as a competitive archer in my formative years, I've never had muscle like this. And being able to go do things like paddleboarding and riding my bike and taking the dogs on walks, and it's just, I wouldn't know that I had MS if I didn't know it already. I never would have imagined that diet could do this for me, that not only would it help my MS, but that it would reverse the course of it. I feel like I've gotten my life back.
Oh my God. I love hearing that so much. That just, oh, I love that. Your story is amazing. I have to know, what are your doctors saying?
Nothing. And it's not because I haven't told them. I'm not sure if they know what to say. So I have been meeting with my neurologist PA most of the time because I haven't really needed anything. So I haven't made a big deal about not meeting with the PA and making sure I see my neurologist, right? And so I told her what was going on. She did actually say one thing. She said, it sounds like you're eating a lot of saturated fat. We should look at your cholesterol. And I was like, wait. That's not how cholesterol works. And she was like, yeah, let's take a look. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So I get a CBC every 6 months anyway. We look at my liver function. We look at different vitamin levels and just pull the full CBC report. But this time she added in a lipid panel. She just like slipped it in. Here it is. And of course, you know, it came back perfect. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, I kind of wish it was a little bit higher. Wish it was a little higher. But just having it come back textbook, I was just like, I told you. Outside of that, like I left a really, really big voicemail saying all of those improvements with MS, which is basically all that we've talked about. But I also told them about all of my other improvements that I wasn't expecting that have happened this year. So remember I told you that my neurologist had me documenting all of my wounds? So my first journal entry, I found it in January of this year. My first journal entry was January of 2019, and it was a cat scratch that was 3 weeks old. It was about 1/4 of an inch long, and it was still bright red. It hadn't scabbed, it hadn't browned, it hadn't faded. It was bright red at 3 weeks old. And this January, I found that journal entry just a few days after slicing my thumb open on a canning lid. And it healed without a mark in 5 days. So there's this random picture of my thumb on my phone with no mark because it healed. And I couldn't believe it, but I had this documented. This is like an objective measure because I had it documented. So I'm healing faster. My legs have been covered in bruises since I was a teenager. I used to think like, what's going on? Like, am I kicking my daybed bars? Like, you know, I'm like 15. Am I kicking my daybed bars? Like what? Like, why do I have all these bruises all over my legs? I don't have bruises anymore unless I hit my leg hard enough that I remember what I did to it. And then again, they last for less than a week. My sun allergy is gone. I'm Italian and I became allergic to the sun in my early 20s. Where I started getting bumpy, itchy, raised rashes within minutes of sun exposure, year round, basically. And I also, I stopped tanning, like I stopped building melanin in my early 20s, especially my legs. And I even tried like going to tanning salons, like, can I jumpstart it in the spring? I would go to like vacations in national parks, go to Hawaii, go to theme parks, and my legs never tanned. They were just always like glowing white. So this year I noticed that my sun sensitivity greatly improved. I did not get a single sun rash this year. So I would say my sun allergy resolved. And my legs started tanning. My mom was so excited about it. Every time she saw me early this summer, she was like, my brown baby, you're here. I'm like, yes, I'm tan, Mom. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm Italian. So those are things that I didn't expect to change. I didn't even know that they were like real problems to begin with. It was like, oh, I'm allergic to the sun. Okay. But I'm not anymore, and I'm tanning, and I'm not burning, and I'm not bruising, and my cuts are healing quickly, and my skin is clear, and my nails are smooth, and my hair is growing very fast, and I feel so good. I feel so good.
That is just beyond awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I think, wow, to me, that I never get tired of hearing this, especially something so huge. I mean, and then the doctors, but you know, that's kind of pretty typical, right? You know, we're hoping to change that. That's why we do what we do. That's why you share your stories. That's why we have Need RX. You know, we're trying to get this.
Yeah, true. If I can just tell everybody this, please just try it. Try it for 30 days. You have nothing to lose. And see, you know, get through this transition and see if you feel good at the end of 30 days. Try it for 60 days. And, you know, I didn't fully answer your question on details for what I'm eating. So like a few things that I keep in mind, like red meat. You know, I consider chicken to be nutrient deficient. I don't eat a lot of it unless it comes from a local farm. Eggs whenever I want, dairy whenever I want, uncured bacon whenever I want, because it's better than breaking down and eating 3 bags of potato chips. But mostly I eat when I'm hungry and I don't eat when I'm not hungry. And I try to make sure that I'm getting a lot of fat, and I use animal fats when I'm cooking. And, you know, because I eat when I'm hungry and I don't eat when I don't, I intermittent fast naturally. On occasion, I don't force myself to do it. I'm not like, I'm going to do, you know, an 8-hour eating window, or I'm going to do a 24-hour fast or anything like that. I just, if I'm not hungry, I don't eat, and I end up intermittent fasting naturally. And then as far as amounts, you know, 1.5, 2 pounds, probably pre-cooked weight. So, you know, by the time it gets to me, it's not 2 pounds of meat, but, you know, I'll have a whole ribeye and a bowl full of ground beef and maybe a couple of eggs in a day, if that's what I want. Some days I'll eat maybe just a couple of eggs. It depends on how what I feel like I need that day.
That's great. And you know, one thing that I love that you said is that for your celebration, you went and got the sparkliest heels you could find. Oh, I love that. I love that. You need to rock those shoes for
They
sure.
look like Barbie shoes.
Love it. Perfect. Perfect. Yes, girl, you deserve to wear that. Go on. I love that. Well, thanks again so much for sharing your story. I think it's amazing. And this is going to help so many people to have some hope. I mean, to know that there's hope like that, it's huge. So again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope even if it helps just one person, give it a try and see that they really can impact the disease that they feel like has control over their life.
Absolutely. Again, thank you and have a wonderful day. It was nice speaking with you, Ginamarie.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.